All right. Should be live. What's up, everybody? Why do people always start off like, should be live? We're live. YouTube, what's going on? I'm going to talk to you about that kit back there. I did a short video shoot, and I should always check the audio. Let me check real quick. I see the image. Let me listen to it. Sounds awesome. All right, so I can hear YouTube is going strong. I probably don't need to have the monitoring in anymore, so I can take that out. I also don't need to be streaming live. So I'm going to talk about this kit back here, this setup, which I grabbed and put together. I never have used that combination before. And I've already edited the video. It's a very short 30-second piece for a friend. She's a professor and just trying to do something different with one of her lectures and for an interview she's doing. So I put together a fun little promo, sort of an introduction to a lecture. And yeah, I'm actually really excited with how it turned out. So I'm going to show you, this was the rig I used. I went outside. It's so weird to leave the studio and get dirty. The monopod got dirty, so that's good. You need to buy gear that is you can take outside and it can handle the elements a little bit. But we got rained out yesterday, and today it's beautiful and sunny. I'm using a lot of that light right now to light me, but I also have a little ring light here. You can see it on my hand. Little ring light to fill in, give some catch light and stuff like that. But if the clouds dim, then this light will light my face at least. The ambient will change, but at least my face will stay exposed. And I'm using webcam settings. It's an app for Mac that lets me have manual control over my webcam so I can dial in the settings just perfect. I use a Logitech C920. If you have a, I'm looking, I see I spelled Manfrotto wrong down there in the description, but if you have the C920 and you're on Windows, then it comes with an app, I believe, to have manual control. So the camera is killer. People ask me all the time how I get such nice quality. It's the C920. It's a 1080p camera. And, you know, I haven't checked to see if the live stream, I just started doing these live streams via OBS software, and got that dialed in. And I haven't checked to see if the other one is in 1080, but hopefully it is, because everything I'm showing is in 1080, including the webcam. And then some lighting. So a nice webcam, a light, and some control of your settings. Those are keys to making really nice video. So, all right, let me grab this rig. I have a beverage. Choose your own of your liking. If you're joining me, you know what? I see live chat, but I'm not seeing anybody in the live chat yet. Oh, someone just popped in. What does the Tascam do? Perfect, John. We're going to get into that. Let me, looks like the settings, you know what's interesting about this setup? It looks like it gets a little overexposed when it gets compressed to YouTube. Right now on my OBS, it looks fantastic, but YouTube looks a little overexposed. So let me try to dial that in just a tad. So you got to go a little underexposed, and let me see what it looks like here on YouTube. It looks okay on YouTube, but you can tell the skin tones, they're a little bright. And then we'll get right into what that Tascam does. So let me go to live. Let me catch up here. So it might have drug it down. So that's looking really good. I think that's it. I'll stick with that. Live looks great. Thanks, Jay. And also, what fluid head do you use or recommend? So I think that's the same fluid head on one of the tripods. I use Manfrotto stuff, and I'll try to put the links. I'll go back to the live description and put links into the description of this video when it archives right after we're done recording. Those links obviously will be affiliate, so you know that, but it's all gear that I own, and it helps support the channel. So if you see something you like there, check it out. Or if you click through the link to Amazon, then anything you buy for a little while, you get a little bit of credit. You should be doing that too. If you do stuff online and you share any link to something that you talk about and spend time promoting because you like it, hook yourself up. With a link. So stream health is good. That's good. I'm going to keep the exposure right there. All right, let's pull this over here. All right, so nothing is on. Let me see. Do I need to adjust this? It looks good. This is the rig. I don't always need to... I got softball tonight. Softball season's back in. My buddy's texting me when we're going to pick it up. It's a super late game. I'm super excited. I love softball. We won a championship belt last year. So anyways, what do we got here? Let's go top to bottom. And let's get to the better looking parts. I should turn all of this on. So this literally, I have to like go down the line. Every piece here has, trying to stay on microphone, has a the switch. So the Rode VideoMic Pro, you got right there. That needs to be turned on. The Sony A6500, you got to turn that on. The Tascam, that's got its own on switch here. And then lastly, I don't have the other end of this hooked up, but this is a wireless system, which I'll have a better recommendation for you. This is a great system, but I can give you a more affordable system and even a cheap system now that I would use or get, and if you're on a super budget. And actually, the one that's cheaper might be better because I'll talk a little bit about some issues I had with even this, which I've never had that issue before. So, all right. And this is the 561 BHDV. I never remember the name. But it's a monopod, as you can see here. Hold on. And it has, this is great. It's an awesome monopod. It's pretty ubiquitous in this sort of videographer world. There are probably better now, because let me show you these feet that it has. So those feet, I can actually, let me see here. Let me put this down. This is a monopod, remember? And let me lock it. It doesn't, it sort of locks. It's sort of hard to find the point, but I can let go. And it stands up. So I could stand next to it, and it can effectively be a tripod if you're careful. So you don't want to let that go too long. But if you're operating and you're standing right in front of it, you could, if you needed a locked off shot, you could do that. But with this kit here, I left image stabilization on, even though we're stabilized. I thought it might give me a little bit more control. The jury's still out on whether that's something I would continue to do it that way. If maybe turn it off, it would be fine either way, because again, we are stabilized. And this head here is it's a video head. So you've got the tilt, and then panning is actually handled down here. This way. It turns. So, and this is a move I used yesterday. So I can just, with my hand here, if the right part, you can pan. You can do all your pans this way. I'm just not holding it straight because I'm not looking at it, but you get your pans, and then you can do any tilt you want. And I actually kept it kind of loose like this. One point we have her running down a trail, and it sort of just come up and tilt up like this ever slowly as she runs up to the camera. Stop, and I just hold it right there. And with the 6500, I can touch to focus and do what I want. And then she has the other end. She has the microphone end of the Sennheiser she's wearing, and it's being piped into the Tascam, which is my audio recorder. And it is, well, you can do it's 4-channel, sort of. You can do 2 XLR line-in combo jacks here, and I just used one, and I recorded mono. And then it has a 1/8 inch 3.4. You can put a stereo input in here. So, and I use this for my podcast as well, to record the Hangouts on Air that I do here. But right here, direct into the Tascam is the wireless mic, and then this up here is reference audio. But in some cases, we're shooting within a few feet of her yesterday, and this is a shotgun microphone, and it can be used. But I should do a follow-up video where I show you the difference. You can hear the difference between the two. And, in some cases, when she's running up, I actually do use the audio from this microphone because it has nice distant sound, right? The mic is right on top of her. So I'm hearing everything from her perspective. And with this, I'm getting my perspective. When she's far away, the sound sounds far away and she runs up. So I use that for her footsteps, but you are going to pick up more. And then as she comes in, I transition from the VideoMic Pro, I transition into the Tascam audio, which is nice and clean right here on her chest. And I put it underneath her clothing, which created a little bit of problem, but we mostly got around it. We did get around it. And then, and I mix those audio sources together, and it's fantastic. Crystal clean audio. So let's see, what else is the setup? I shot in 4K because I can do that with the A6500. And pretty much, well, interesting, I shot in 4K, but what I'm doing now is I'm editing in a 2.5K timeline. So 2560 by 1440 is, I'm loving that output because it looks great at 4K. And if you have 10K, it's not even, Red's not even doing 10K, probably tomorrow, they're doing 8K. You have 1080 that you can up-res and it still looks okay. So you can mix 4K and 1080 and hit that sweet spot right in the middle at 2.5K. So I'm experimenting with that. I think that is plenty high res. And with that advantage, with 4K, you get recomposition. Yeah, you can recompose your image in post-production a little bit. So I shot intentionally a little wider than I would have shot normally for her. And that gives me some extra room. And in post, I'm able to punch in a little bit to that image because we're not using the entire 4K in the timeline. And I get to then recompose the image a little bit. It gives me a little room to play with in post-production. So there's just so many advantages to that workflow. So, you know, I'm always trying different workflows. That's what I tried yesterday, and I'm stoked with the results. Love the channel, John. Great info. Thanks, man. What's your podcast about? I have a podcast. It's not on this channel anymore. I have 2 podcasts about podcasting, thepodcastersstudio.com and podcastersroundtable.com. So it's all about producing audio pretty much in a format of distribution form of podcast. And so if you're into podcasting, check all that out. Let's see. Off topic, you stumbled on channel A6500 Research. I got this 6500 here that we've switched to. How do you like to switch to Sony? Yes and no. I mean, there's always going to be advantages. There are some things I miss about my Canon. The flip screen is the #1 thing. Come on, Sony. NAB is here. Let's see a 6700 already. Sure. I need a flip screen. I still need it, but I'm dealing without it because the image is so good. The bit rate is the codec, it is big. I do 100 megabits. There are so many great things I get out of this camera that for me, I was willing and it was time to make that switch to Sony. Ultimately, I'd like to at some point end up at the A7 series. They got the A9 out today. It's not a camera for video. It's a camera for photographers, but there's got to be an A7S right behind it. A7S III, whatever they're going to call it. So excited for that. This is my first step into that world. I've shot on the A7S, the first one before, and it's the ultimate. It's just so great. So put a flip screen on this and you literally have the ultimate vlogging camera, which I'm not a big vlogger. I'll vlog once in a blue moon, but I'm fascinated by that format. I love small, super light, have with you, ultra beautiful video that you have in your pocket. I love that. So still waiting for that camera. This is so close. All right, so full-time is definitely, YouTube is definitely not my full-time job. That's the funny thing about being online. A lot of people, there's a lot of creators where I'm like, I wonder if these guys do it full-time. And you're seeing that a lot lately. I make some money from YouTube, but no, I have a full-time job. I am a full-time, my title is made up. It's media specialist, but I'm a professional podcast producer. I produce audio and video podcast and other audio video stuff for a nonprofit. Based in DC. And so that's what I do full time. All this stuff is just extra. It's just what I do in my spare time, sharing all this stuff and having fun. So if you use an affiliate links, thanks so much. Try to put it back in this channel. Maybe someday full time. Who knows? There are paths to doing that for sure. The swivel screen is the only thing holding it back. The thing that made me finally make the jump without the swivel screen is if I'm out in the field, if I'm outside and I have to film myself and I need to see it, say I don't have a wide angle lens, you can connect this to your phone and use your phone as a monitor. So I could be out there, there we go, filming myself, and I could look my phone here. I could get my composition and exposure, focus on my phone. So because I was able to connect it to my phone, I was like, it's not ideal. It doesn't work fast. It doesn't even work super well. But in those cases where I absolutely have to see myself, I could do that. Now I could go get a big monitor or any kind of monitor and hook it up here and all that stuff. And I would like that, although I don't think I can invest in a monitor if it's not also a recorder. And then we're talking about size differences that I don't want to get into. But that kills the whole point of being able to just take this camera and go. I mean, the Rode VideoMic Pro is kind of cumbersome. I would normally wouldn't travel with that. I would just take the 6500. I've got the beautiful, this is a beautiful lens. I think it is. I'm not convinced that I'm not having some autofocus issues, but this 28 millimeter f2 from Sony, I had to go native. I do have, I just put it away. I do have some of my Canon lenses. I bought the MC11 adapter from Sigma that I am using to adapt some of my Canon lenses, but you lose some of the biggest reasons you buy this camera, like continuous autofocus, touch to focus, all of those type of things. So it's fine. This camera is really good at shooting manual focus because you have things like focus peaking. That lets you really see your focus, and it's got an amazing diopter here. You can look inside. It's got a OLED, so you can get your focus off of that, right? Even in bright daylight, because this screen is hard to see in daylight. But this lens, okay, it's a 28 millimeter, it's a prime, right? It's fixed at 28. It has an f2 aperture, so I'm not worried about low light. This camera already does low light really well. It's not an A7S, but it does low light really well. And I've demoed that a little bit here on this channel. And on top of all that, oh, the preamps in here are good. That's nice, right? For audio. We've got an audio input. That would have been I couldn't have done that. That's why the A5100, I can't do that. I can't make that camera purchase as a primary camera because it doesn't have an audio input, even though it has the flip screen. So close. A5100, flip screen. Put an audio input on the A5100, gold. Golden, gold vlogging camera. I always use vlogging as my example. But I totally forgot what I was saying, but focus. Oh, this lens. So it's 28 f2, no problem, low light. But what you have on the Sony here is this option right here. It's called clear image zoom up to 2 times. So this almost 30 millimeter lens is also basically a zoom lens because I have 28 millimeters all the way up to, almost to double that, right? Almost out to 60 millimeters at, 56. So I have a 28 and a 56 millimeter in this one lens because the clear image zoom doesn't take away from the resolution at all. I would say that you don't notice any image loss when you're at 2 times zoom. And I actually used it yesterday, and you can't tell. And I think that's because this camera is actually shooting 6K. The sensor does 6K and then down samples that to 4K. It gets beyond my pay grade. It's a little nerdy, but the point is you're actually capturing more pixels and the camera is then bringing that down to 4K. So not only does that make the 4K look, I would imagine, a little better, it looks really good, but you can use this because you're on a crop sensor. You're not using the whole sensor. You get that added zoom on this. So there's so many things you can do that are so cool. I can open up this lens, not gonna be able to see anything there. But yeah, this 2.0 aperture, it's fantastic. So I don't know if it's the best lens, but it's a good lens. It's a good, perfect first lens for my first Sony lens, and it didn't break the bank. It's still like a $400 something lens. Super lightweight. This is the hood. So normally it's just like that. And there are questions. I'm going to get to your questions for sure. If you click on the hood there, that's what you got. But that's it, man. So that's the setup. Like I said, I don't know that G85, everything that Panasonic's doing is awesome. The GH5s looks amazing. Yeah, it's such a fun time to be into cameras and audio. There's so many things. This is a good week. Lots of gear lusting going on this week with all the NAB announcements. Let me show you the result of what I shot with this setup. That's a good idea. Stay. We don't want that falling over. Yeah, good enough. All right, let me pull up. I already did the edit because, like I said, it was only 30 seconds, although it has a lot going on. I tried 2 things that I haven't tried before. I tried a whip pan transition. So I have 2 whip pan transitions, which you'll see. Never tried that, so quickly went out and looked up how to make sure I'm executing that correctly. Fortunately, it did work out. and I did a like a magically appearing item in her hand. It's bing, and we had a little fun with that. So shooting it when you haven't shot it before, you're not quite sure how it's gonna come out, but I was happy with it. So let me pull this video up into OBS here and show it to you. It's only 30 seconds. Then I will answer questions and we'll probably be out of here. But I'm gonna have to do something tricky. Here's one thing I haven't, because it involves a mixer setup, I haven't got set up yet. I'm gonna just point this microphone at my speaker. It's unfortunate because the music is good as well and there's lots of audio. So hopefully this comes through. Actually, I will listen. Hopefully this comes through on the YouTubes. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. Sorry, I'm an idiot. At least I was monitoring it. I know why that's not working. Because I turned my monitor speakers down so it wouldn't bleed into the live stream. Let's try again. Cheers, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good, it's the end of my day, but I hope you're having a good day. Let me get this live pulled back up here. All right, try again. One more time.
Oh, hey, I'm Dr. Fuller. How am I keeping my energy up? Interesting question. It's called energy metabolism, or how our bodies break apart foods like this banana
Dr. Fuller. How am I keeping my energy
into fuel we can use to do things like throwing, breathing, blinking, thinking, and running. See you in class!
All right, I'm so lame, but then I looped the audio back on itself because of the whole setup. What a mess. I need to set this up so the mixer's doing the job of not pointing a microphone at the screen. I'm going to do it one more time. I think it's figured out.
Oh, hey, I'm Dr. Fuller. How am I keeping my energy up? Interesting question. It's called energy metabolism, or how our bodies break apart foods like this banana into fuel we can use to do things like throwing, breathing, blinking, thinking, and running. See you in class!
All right. My goodness. Well, sorry that was such an ordeal to get going, but that is the video. Very quick, lots of fun music. Let me see here. I won't play it here, but I can walk through the video a little bit. That could be fun. So here we are outside. This is challenging because we have direct sunlight, so you can see actually, and I created this little intro. Hopefully everyone's hearing me okay. I created this little intro and then got some music. Premium Beat is is pretty much a sponsor of my channel in that they let me use their music library. And I don't pay for that. I mean, they get exposure on my channel and I get to use the music. They're amazing in that they don't make me do anything. Like, they don't make me put the credit in the video. They just want the link to the song in the description. So Premium Beat, you guys are so awesome. And their music is great. So royalty-free music is, you know, I prefer to like just go out and buy my music if I can for a video project, if I can. And for projects that are going to go out there and sort of be for a client, I don't do a lot of client video jobs, very rarely, but I would put that in the budget for them. Or if it's a personal project, I'm gonna purchase some music so that, you know, someone else could use it as well and you could hear it in their video. But for the most part, you're less likely to hear it than something like GarageBand music, which is what we hear all the time. And it doesn't really, it's not the same when I pick off GarageBand music on shows I heard on Friends before. I'm pretty sure they have plenty of budget, but yeah, anyways. So this shot, I did the little title, and you can see I have her kind of run in here and split the title, and I have her pull up short of the camera, pull out an earbud, and you can see we're kind of under a tree. It's a little of that speckled light, which isn't perfect, but it worked here. She wasn't squinting super hard, and she could deliver lines right into the camera, and the exposure looked good. In the 6500, you can see, if you look up, I don't know if you see my cursor, but the clouds there in the right-hand corner and the sky, we're almost losing a little detail in the blue, but you can still see the clouds. It's not blown out, and she's in the shadow. So great dynamic range on this camera. It can handle those shadows and the highlights. I was shooting in picture profile 6, I believe. I swear I change every time. The reason I shot in picture profile 6 is it's Cine 2, I think. It's a little flat, and if you get your exposure close to what you need it, you turn on your zebras for peaking, you know, so you can see when something is overexposed. And you cycle through the picture profiles, you'll see ones that are blowing out and ones that are holding the highlights at the very same setting. So I use this one because it's sort of flat, meaning it's not real contrasty. So I have room in post-production to do some color grading here. And I could use the aperture I needed. Actually, I would have loved to have been at a shallow aperture, but I would have had to have an ND filter. You know, the Canon G7X, it's like a push camera, has an ND filter in it. Come on, Sony, just slip that electronic ND filter in there. It would be amazing. Just subbed. Thanks, Dominic. You rock. Seriously. Double horns badge. I like to give double horns. I like emojis. They say a lot of things with one little thing. So I would give you the double horns emoji for the sub. So yeah, so she runs into the light. Here's the beginning. Up here where she's running, you hear her footsteps. That's all coming out of the Rode VideoMic Pro. Because it gives me that distant sound to running right to the camera, that crunching of her feet on the rocks. It's perfect. And as she comes right here, I jump. I just do a nice fade. I did a video live edit about I did a video about that, about how I do that. And I faded into her audio, which is the Sennheiser mic, which is actually placed on her bra strap right under here. Little challenging because you're going to get some rubbing going on, but we're only using it for her dialogue. So when she's still, we didn't have any issues. I was getting a ton of interference from radio frequency interference, RF, and that's the one of the problems with having an analog mic like that is that you can run into interference really easily. Now, the Rode Filmmaker kit is half the price of that Sennheiser. It's digital, so you're not going to run into those RF issues, and it's fantastic. I shot for like 10 days down in Peru, had 2 of those microphones on me, like literally strapped to me for 10 days in the dirt, and they just kicked butt. So that's a really cool option. And then Saramonic is doing some interesting stuff. They have an even cheaper wireless lav mic that seems completely credible. I mean, it seems like it's good. I haven't been able to try it out. I've watched. You can go look up the Saramonic stuff, but you should check it out. All right. So the image doesn't look as good on YouTube to me as it does on OBS. It's hard to make OBS. I'm super contrasty, but I'll bring it down for YouTube because it should look better. I'm really bothered by stuff that probably doesn't matter. But on this channel, you expect to have, see, that looks better. It's starting to look better. A little more contrast. My skin is not getting blown out. I like that look. All right, we'll go with that. I'm listening back to myself. Latency. This is why you can't use a mixer. It gives you latency because you can't hear yourself back and then try to talk. That looks good. All right. So this is kind of fun. I'm just scrubbing through here, trying to remember some stuff. Now, the whip pan here, I let her deliver her line. And as soon as she's done, I go to the left, right? I do a whip pan. And with the monopod, that's easy because I just turn it, twist it, and get that whip pan. So we shot this a bunch of times, obviously. You're going to need a lot of takes, but it helps them get a lot more comfortable. She obviously doesn't do this ever, and we really worked it out so that she was able to deliver the line smoothly. So we do a whip pan. At the end of her line, she says, "Great question," and we whip away. Now, you've got the super Jello, the Jello cam. That the CMOS sensor is going to create where you're going to get wavy. You can't do you can't do pans, but in a whip pan, it doesn't matter because you're just transitioning. And in fact, it may add to the comedy of this particular video. So I was not concerned about the Jello cam. So you see the whip, look at everything's going Jello. Whoa, whoa. And then this shot, which she starts in this spot right there. And I start by facing the camera to the right, and if keep going with that same whip, keeps going to the left, and we end up. Her cue is to start her next line, when the camera is facing directly on her, and I wanted her in the center. That was took a few times to hit that, and then have her deliver the line correctly. So a lot of things have to come together. At that point, the camera person's doing a performance and the person delivering, so that can be real tricky, but we got it done. And so you saw how it whipped in here to her, and she starts delivering this line. And then we make this, she's explaining like how we get energy from the foods we eat. I have her bring her hand out here, and we were going to toss the banana to her and try to do a no-look catch. That's a lot to do. It's tricky. We were going to mutilate the banana. So I decided, let's just try the I Dream of Jeannie. We'll just try to zap it in. That is some dating myself back there, but it's pretty iconic in pop culture. I tried the I Dream of Jeannie effect, where stuff just appears. And so all I had her do, her husband is standing right over here to the left of me. I had him with a light and a reflector. The light I had is the light that I'm using right here, the little ring light, the R300 from F&V. Wasn't enough to overpower the sun. So that plan went out the window. I have her in the shade here, but it's better because now the sun is off to her right and we're getting nice side lighting. So that was really nice. So we have a nice even lighting going on for her. And so her hand is out when she says banana or whatever the cue is. Her husband, she's supposed to freeze. She looks down. Don't move, right? Had her husband put the banana in her hand, try not to move. And then she sort of keeps her hand open. We wait. She waits a brief second. That's where I inserted the laugh track because it adds to the humor, but it also covers up sort of an uncomfortable pause where she gets from that point back to her line. And so right here, when she looks down, right there, right there, she freezes. And now her husband comes in, hands her the banana, and now she has a banana in her hand. And I put a magic appearing sound effect with the laugh track. And then so I just cut to this. There's a little bit of jump, but it's fast enough where you don't really see it. Even if you see it a little bit, it's not like people think it's magically appearing. So it's fun. I showed her the video this afternoon. She thought it was great. She's like, "How did you do that? How do you do that?" And it's magic to people who don't do these things, right? And so she keeps her hand open for an extra second and then closes her hand. And I just cut, right, in the editing to get us to that point. And then she brings it back up and delivers her line. She tosses the banana away. She puts in her other earbud. She finishes her line, waves, and takes off. And I pause for a brief second. This one I could have done a little bit better. I pause for a brief second, which is good. And then we whip pan. Again, we keep going to the left. You want to keep going in the same direction. I tried to keep the continuity of her running down the trail instead of running up and then running backwards. Runners do that. They turn around, but for this one, I wanted to do that. Plus we had at this point we have some nice lighting going on. I tried to purposely shoot this around 5:30 in the afternoon. Still a little early. The sun's still pretty up at this time of day with daylight savings, but daylight saving time. It's not plural. And but just by the time we got to this point, we shot an order, starting to get some of that golden hour. So I whip pan to her. Now this is the shot. Okay, this is the shot that I whip out of. And right about here, I've switched now. I've started where she was and start the pan. And I said action at this point, which seems stupid to say, but that's what you say, I guess. I said action, so she knew to start running. And I whipped in as she started running, and you've got that transition. Now, in the edit, I would have been happier if I said action, I let her get further away. So right there, she doesn't appear, and then appear back in the frame. If I'd let her get right about there before I did the whip pan, it would have been, from a perfectionist point of view, it would have been perfect for me. It totally works here. I had other choices, but this is the best one, which delivers the line and runs where I want her to. So that works for me. So we whip out of that. She starts running down the trail, delivers her see you in class line, and then she turns. I tell her to just keep going because I know I'm going to hold this shot as I bring in our exiting title, which is the same as the first, and I fade in to blurry. I just blur out the background so you've got that title that really pops over the top and acts as sort of a transition on the way out. And you can see we're starting to get those beautiful colors of the sun setting, or sun getting lower in the horizon, getting near that golden hour. So really warm look, really welcoming, inviting look. So yeah, that's it. There was probably more, but that was how that shoot went. And it was a lot of fun. I'm super stoked with super stoked from California. Although I didn't surf, still enjoy the word stoked. But yeah, that was it. Let me look at the chat. Good job. Thanks for relaxing visuals. I'm going to pop out the chat here. Let me see the settings. If I change this, what settings do I have? Enable slow mode, automatically ban spam. We want all that. All right, I don't want slow mode. So I can pop out. Oh, it'll show me the participants. All right, hey, let me look at that. I could just scroll through. I wonder what's different from, let's see, who's here? No, that's not showing me anything. That shows me two people. Sean's here, Terry's here, Dominic, John, Not Top, what's up? Relaxing visuals, Premiere Reviewer, Carter, what's up? Jimmy. All right, so anyways, lots of stuff. Should I work from most recent? Let's do that. Was that for the web? Yep, that was, well, yes, but no. It's not for the web in that she's going to show it in a presentation. She has like an interview and she's trying to show how she's going to integrate multimedia into her classroom. So she's just going to, so yeah, basically it's for a computer, not going to TV or anything like that. Let me pull up the live stream here just to make sure everything is A-okay and it looks good, sounds good. Yeah, see now, here's the problem with working with daylight, and we had this problem on the shoot, is that the sun shifts. So you're going to get changing exposure. So I'm going to come up a little bit here. You see how this is why I have manual control over my camera, because it bugs me. And yes, sadly, I need to change these things in real time. That looks better though. All right, let me get back to the chat here. Tie a piece of monofilament line to the banana, have someone pull it out of her hand. Yes, that would have been one way to do that special effect. Very true. I think Noptop would be perfect for that, right? And he's got the quick effects channel. You guys check out his channel. He's in the chat here. He's been using, and speaking of Noptop, he's been using Ceramonic Wireless Lab, and it's been working great. Yeah, Ceramonic contacted me and tried to send me free versions. I said no. It's really weird here. Like if I take a free item to review, it doesn't mean I'm going to review it or tell you that it's good, but perception is a big thing, but trust is a big thing too. So hopefully people trust me. I said no. They have a couple items that are just amazing. So, and I can send it back. And one thing I might do is get some in, hopefully for free, and then give them away. That would be the key. So that's the thing I think I want to do. Hopefully people won't think that I'm doing a review just for getting that item. But if I give it away, that helps a little bit. And it lets me give stuff away to you guys and gals. So that's cool. Jump cut magic is still my fave. Yeah, the jump cut was fun. And I love jump cuts. You know, I will say, Knobtop, I should know your first name. I'm just calling Knobtop. But the thing that I love the most about YouTube right now, and probably a lot of people hate, I love how if you know how to use jump cuts, and we're talking about a different type of jump cut here, but in editing, you know, jump cut was always something not to use. It's something that I always had to cover up with B-roll. But in this sort of quick format, quick fun format, vlogging format, it works really well. And some people are so good at using the jump cut. So I'm enjoying that. Sun shift. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are hard. So let me see. How was the Rode mic with the Win, John? The Rode mic was fine. Obviously, what I have on it there is not going to protect me from the wind. There wasn't too much wind, but I have a dead cat. Looks like I could touch that. Almost. I have a dead cat for it, which is just, you know, the big giant furry sock. I didn't even think to bring it out because I knew it wasn't going to be on my primary audio, but I also just didn't think about it. So I should have taken that out. And seriously, I bought that thing. How often do I use it? Not very often. But yes, it was fine for what we did yesterday, but you would definitely want to get one of those dead cats, the furry, for your shotgun microphones if you're going to be outside. Do you use ND filter? I don't. I do. On my Canon lenses, I have a giant one with some step down rings that'll fit my Canon lenses. And it doesn't work on this. And I did think about using a Canon lens with the ND filter, but I just wanted this for the autofocus. Too much going on shooting by myself. Wanted to try and worry less about things and let this camera do its job. So ideally, I would get an ND filter for this. Ideally, like I said, Sony would put an ND filter in the cameras. But yeah, if I wanted to get that shallow depth of field, which I would have liked to have had, but it worked just fine without it here. In fact, she said she kind of liked seeing everything in focus, but that's from a non-video perspective. That's the beauty, is everything subjective. And yeah, I could have done that, but if I was going to shoot out in daylight and you want shallow depth of field, I did a video about the ND filter that I actually have and use. I still have the same one. It's a variable ND, so you can switch up the different levels of it. Check this channel. I did it, a variable ND. It's a fader ND, and it's on here. From a 30-plus year production veteran in the TV biz, nice whip pan. Next is the Zap. This is the Zap Zoom. I'll have to look at the Zap Zoom. I actually know what that is. But Terry, thanks so much, man. That's cool. Yeah, first time trying that. You got to try, man. Just go out and experiment, you guys. Seriously. Let's see. The whip pan you saw. Nicely done. Thank you so much, Sean. Let's look for some questions here. Also, what editing software would you recommend for PC besides Adobe Premiere? Well, I will say one thing too, but don't write off Premiere completely, because you can go get Premiere Elements. And I think, you know, I haven't looked at it in a long time, but it's going to do most of what you're going to need. So if budget is an issue, I suspect it is when you say besides Adobe Premiere, because the subscription service is a pain in the, it's a pain to pay that. Every year I go to re-up and I'm like, do I want to pay this? But I do. So far, last couple of years. Look at Elements. Beyond that, if you need to look at something powerful that's free, go look at DaVinci Resolve. I haven't tried it, but that's super powerful. Check out that. You can use that on Windows. Sony Vegas, I believe, is still viable. Sounds like people are still using that, using it well. You can check out that. I haven't used it. Final Cut, I've used all the iterations of that, but that's Mac. But that's a nice option if you're on a Mac. $300, you're done. It's paid for. It's as powerful as Premiere. I could cause a lot of arguments there, but I use them both. And yeah, I don't know. In the chat, if you have something else that you recommend on Windows that you know, is his XLR mic plugged into his camera? No, it's not. But I could have plugged it into the camera in addition to recording on the recorder. So this has a camera out. We have a line out, a phone's out. There's all kinds of outputs here. And a camera out, which will help with that. There's that old issue where you have a line level signal going into a mic level input. That could be loud. You can put a pad on it with the camera out. This DR60D, which I've done videos on the channel as well if you want to see more about it. I could take a line out of this and put it in the mic input of this camera, and I could have got the audio coming out of this. I could have got into this as well as recording it on here. And then you could set different levels, and if you have peaking, you can protect that by recording one of those tracks lower than the other, which is another thing this will do for you on its own. And so, yeah, I did a video. In fact, that video explaining that setup, which was with an old H4n, which I still have. Don't buy that. There's an H4n Pro. They fixed the preamps. H5, H6, so many options. DR60D. Don't buy the H4n. People are still buying that because there's Sony videos, but it's preamps. They're not good, so don't buy it. Let's see. But yeah, the video I did that I would say launched this whole channel was that setup. Someone asked me a question. I had done a setup for a shoot kind of like this for a friend indoors. This time was an interview type thing. I know it was like a promo video. Anyways, I just answered the question. I put it in video form. I put it out there and it did so well that I was like, whoa, something's going on here. I had this channel already for like a couple years. I said I better start doing more on it. That was back in 2011, maybe. No, 2009. Maybe I had the channel. I don't know. It was a couple years before after I'd had the channel, and then it just sort of took off from there. So one video can really launch a channel. However, so what? I have 41,000 subscribers, something like that. It's much different than a podcast. It does not mean when I put out a video, 41,000 people are going to watch. And that is different for every YouTube creator. That's a whole different conversation. But keep making videos, answer questions that people have. One of those videos might take off. But even then, if you just build a library, you'll slowly build on YouTube. And then that can add into some revenue. I call it golf and beer money. But really all that means is it lets me go buy some gear once in a while. So reinvest back into the channel. Back into the brand, whatever you want to call it. What shotgun mic would you recommend besides the Rode VideoMic Pro? Oh man, there's so many. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about one that's like at the 1/8 inch or an actual shotgun, there's a Rode. Any Rode basically makes great shotgun microphones. And there's no reason you don't really need to look past Rode. To be honest with you, they have all levels and all the qualities are super great. I don't know. It's having a little trouble with the scrolling of the chat, but yeah, the A9 is just, it's a camera for video. I mean, for photography. So I saw it, it was exciting. And then I ignored it because it wasn't exciting because I'm not a photographer primarily. So I'm waiting for that A7S. Not that I'm going to buy it. I'm hoping it'll make the other A7s less. However, it would be hard for me to even get an A7S II because this is sharper. If you've seen the comparisons, it's crazy, but the A7S II, amazing video, amazing. And again, the G85. MKE600 is a great shotgun microphone, but take a look at what Aperture is doing, APUTURE. The Deity they just came out with to sort of compete with this MKE600 at a much better price point, and it's a beast. It looks so cool, and it works so well that it's something to look at for more of a budget filmmaker. It's not cheap, but it's still something to look at. GH5 has focus issues right now. Yeah, hopefully they'll fix that. Let's see. We got the editing software question. All right, let me go down here. Careful saying. We got that one. Dead Cats for the Rode mic is good. Are you using a C920? Yes. C920 is the camera. I've done videos here on this channel too, a little bit about my setup, my webcam setting. Thepodcasterstudio.com/webcam settings. I believe that's it. Goes through my webcam setting for what I do in front of a webcam, lighting and stuff like that. And the manual app, there's a link to that, all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on the GoPro Hero 5 Black? I haven't really looked at them that much. I have an old 3 Plus or something weird. It wasn't even mine. It was my dad's. I still have it. GoPro does awesome stuff. The Hero 5 has got to be great because my Hero 3 was pretty good. So Hero 5 Black is one of those things, Kenneth, that I if you're a videographer making money, it's a must-have in your bag. So I have this virtual sort of idea of what I would have in my must-have bag. I don't have all these things at all, but GoPro is one of those because you want to have it. It doesn't take up any room, and you can just do anything you want with it. Now the Mavic Pro, because it's so compact, slide it in your bag. You have this crazy professional option of doing drone shots anywhere you want. Must have, even though I have done no drone video, I would have that in my bag. And there's another that I'm not remembering, but there are a few things in that bag. Let's see. Zoom H6 is killer, but don't overlook the H5. If you don't need that many channels, the H5 is just as good with a few less features, but even more portable. So most people only need the H5 and actually would want the H5. I recommend the H5 all the time for different things. Can you plug the DR60D into a sound mixer? You could take the output and put it into a mixer. Sure, right? Or you take the mixer and just plug it right into the 60D and use it as a recorder. You could take multiple channels out, whatever you want to do. Boss Jock video was awesome. Thanks, Gambit. Yeah, that Boss Jock was fun. Boss Jock's really cool. I use that once in a while. That's how I bring in sound effects. If I put Boss Jock into my mixer, it lets me use it as a sound cart. I do that. The Yamaha MG10XU mixer, I hear about it all the time, Premiere Reviewer, and it looks pretty awesome. I haven't reviewed it myself. My buddy Daniel has over at the Audacity podcast, and he did a great job of explaining the downsides and the good sides of that. So go look for that. But any review you see on here, you check that out. And it looks like a really powerful mixer. Something I'm going to have to look closer at. I did a sub $100 mixer review, sort of shootout of sorts. You can find that at the Podcaster Studio. Actually, you'll find it here. All the videos I did separately for that are all here on my channel. So as we lose light here, I lose ambient. It's getting a little darker in the background, but I remain exposed because of this light. Now you can see it's not blowing out my hand as much. Well, it's going to be on YouTube. This light is, as long as your primary subject remains exposed, you're at least okay for that. NAB is going to be awesome. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, but have fun. If you're at NAB, I'll be watching from a distance. I'm not going to start singing. Don't worry. Let's see. NTG3 is an amazing microphone. NTG4 is really cool because you have the USB battery option. NTG3 is just a monster you can take anywhere and beat up, and it sounds fantastic. I've got an NTG3 sample video on the channel, so I try to cover all these things. This is what you do. If people ask the questions and you hear questions often enough, make a video so you can say, hey, go check out the video. Great way to build your channel. And it's just helpful to always be able to refer someone to a resource that you already have. Do you use the A6500 for live streaming? I don't. I want to check that out. I need to get a converter, like a Blackmagic HDMI, and so I can bring it in the computer. Then I would love to put it up here and live stream with it. Cautious though about putting that much heat into my through my camera. So thoughts on the GH5 are amazing. It's right now maybe one of the best all-around cameras. DSLR format type cameras. Everything has its limitations, but it's really cool. Carter has a GoPro 5. It's great. Touchscreen on the back. That's amazing. Time lapse function, which is something you're going to want to do a lot probably with the GoPro. Very cool. Mavic Pro, it really is a must-have. Yeah, I love the Mavic. I mean, I love what I see of the Mavic. It's just the idea of super fast setup, super compact. Stick your phone in there as your screen. Amazing. Those guys rock. Have I heard of overheating problems with the A6300? Yes, a lot of overheating problems. One of the reasons I'm on a 6500, not a 6300, is because the Sony A6500 is so much better on overheating, and it has that extended, you can make it go longer before it shuts itself down. And it's still under warranty, so they don't necessarily say that it's at your own risk. It's a crapshoot, though. It's shooting fish in a barrel. Well, no, that's the easy. It's a crapshoot because I've had 3 of these. Now, I had to get 3 of these. I had to send them back. Kudos to B&H, who I work with on some of my affiliate stuff, but I just bought from them. That's sometimes where I buy my stuff. You don't pay tax in some states, so that can be good over Amazon. But I had to get 3 times. I had a weird issue with, what was the first issue? I don't know. I posted Instagram.com/podcast helper. That's where I post so much behind the scenes. I post behind the scenes today of this setup. So definitely check that out. I got to stop hitting my table because the camera is attached to the table. Technically, it's on top of the computer. I had to have 3 of them. I had an OLED burn out in one of them. I had a weird issue with, gosh, I'm totally blanking. Anyways, I had another issue with it. This was the 3rd one, but I heat tested all those cameras. And all that means is I didn't put the override setting on. I stuck it on top of my speaker here and I let it run until it exhausted itself. The first one was pretty good. It went 30 to 45 minutes before I got the warning and it shut itself down. The second one I couldn't break like 23 minutes. And this is without the heat extension. That's what I care more about. How does it do it primarily? And that sucker would just go out on me every time. Big difference there. And then this one, I did a heat test. So I had to get 3 as a big pain in the butt, but it worked out for the best because this one is a monster. I did the heat test and I had to stop the camera because it wouldn't overheat. And I did 4K. This isn't 1080. It didn't do the overheating after an hour, and that was without putting the extension on. So I'm like, I'm not going to be shooting this way. So I'm fine with this. This is fine. I can move on. I'm happy with the results. It's not that 23-minute version that I got. And that's probably why the OLED burnt out. Probably had some heat issue. But Sony mirrorless has notorious for having heat issues all across the line. The 5100, which is a video I did, it gets so many views on YouTube, but there's a lot there about overheating. So you have to really be mindful of how you're going to shoot with it. It will overheat. Mine didn't when I did a review, but you do need to be mindful of that. The 6300 is known for overheating a lot faster, and it doesn't have the override feature. So there's always a compromise. There's always something you have to think about when you're choosing your camera. So that I can just go way down a rat hole. But a couple more questions. I think we got most of them. 6500 tip, do not press record. You should have no issues. It did on the Canon T2i for years. Yeah, if you're streaming, yep, that'll definitely help with the heat. So that's why I'll probably try it out at some point. 6500 primary for wedding camera, Canon L glass. Yeah, but like I said, you lose the autofocus of this camera, continuous autofocus in the video. For me, that's one of the big reasons, because the autofocus is so good. I don't feel like I've had the same experience that I'm hearing about online, but it is still really good. I don't want to give that up, but I use this with Canon glass. If you're into manual focus completely, it works great. So for wedding, I probably want to be manual focus anyways, with focus peaking on, so I know I'm getting my shot. So you just have to decide what exactly you need. And yeah. All right. I think I found the end of the questions, at least for now. This is so much fun. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching a little video. Listen to me blab on about this setup. Hopefully subscribe, hit the like button, all the stuff you have to say as a YouTuber, but you're like, do I really have to say that? You don't, but just like a podcast, if you don't ask people to send you feedback, if you don't ask people to subscribe, then they don't, or they don't know, or they don't think about it. So like buttons and subscriptions so that we can do this again and hopefully be notified next time I go live. I'm really enjoying the live format. I tend to jump into new live formats, do them for a while, and then bail. Live isn't my thing all the time, but this has been great. I can show videos. I've done live edits. So a lot of stuff I can do here. It's content for the channel. So again, thanks so much for checking in, everybody. And anyone who's watching the rewind, the archive, which is, as I hit stop, it's going to be an archive right now. Thanks so much. All right, ask questions in the comments. If I didn't cover it here, or you have questions and you're watching after it's recorded or after it's live, when it's recorded, ask the questions in the comments. I will get to those as fast as possible, and I will see you next time. Bye.